Well, you're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's get to our next discussion now. It is 75 days to the 2023 general elections, and there are indications that the governorship poll in Lagos will be one for the books, given the quality of candidates competing for the top job. Incumbent governor and candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, says he is confident of victory, given his achievements in his first term. Some of Governor Sanwo-Olu's achievements include construction of over 308 roads, the repositioning of the health sector through the building of more health centers at the grassroots, and a free health policy for children below 18 years and adults above 65 years of age. Others include the Red and Blue Line Rail, youth and women empowerment schemes, among others. So we have in the studio to help make sense of all of this going forward into what Nigerians call the Great Countdown. To make sense of it, I have in the studio Razaq Olokoba is here. Good morning. It's good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Great. And I have Olutunbosun Osifowora. It's nice to have you join me this morning. Great. Now, Razaq, let me start with you on this. Now, Lagos is seen as a mega city. We have always, everyone has a mega city. Of course, it stands amongst some of the mega cities around the world that you might mention, especially even on the African continent. You mentioned Cairo, you mentioned Johannesburg. In fact, Lagos is even standing maybe a little taller than them because of the capacity that it has. However, if Lagosians are very pleased, especially when they travel to those cities and come back, and they try to weigh the difference between what I saw in Johannesburg or saw in Cairo and then what I see in Lagos, how would you weigh them? How would you comment on such differences?
Well, it shows clearly that the right things have been done. If you go to other states and you come to Lagos, you will always find one thing to learn and take back home. And when there's a relay, passing baton from one person to the other, teams that have always won are people, a team who have trained their athletes and always took time to get the right athletes. That's why they have the trophy. If you made error in choosing the wrong athletes, the team may lose. And that's what has happened to many other states in Nigeria today. Passing or batting from one governor to the other. Some people have had it very rough. But in Lagos, we have always been very lucky. Since 1990, the baton has been passed from one person to each governor having his own peculiar challenge. And when Sanwo-Olu came on board, I was one of the people who recognized the challenge ahead of him. And I knew that he had a lot of work to do. The civil service itself, they didn't want to give him his goodwill. They held on to their goodwill. Because the government that was going out, there were issues between them. So held on to their goodwill. So how we did it that today, the civil servant embraced him. It's a thing that we must give him kudos for. On the party too, you see the party line. The party line, when he was leaving, there were a bit of crisis between the outgoing governor. But today, there's a peace. When you have peace in the state, look at what the governor has done in that state. And that follows closely is also the COVID-19 issue. The NSAS. So if you put all these things together, if he didn't succeed, he has an excuse not to say that, give me another 4 term. So the fact that he has been able to go this far means one thing, that the Lagosians, the party, and maybe benevolence has always smiled on us for choosing someone who understands the concept of mega city. It's not a peculiar state. Lagos is a peculiar state. It's not the rank and file state of all. I don't want to start mentioning state. It's peculiar because we sit on 3,300 square kilometers of land, 25 million people. This is the smallest state. Nigeria state is about 20-something times bigger than, no, about 15 times bigger than, because it's 73,000 square kilometers. Placed side by side with the number of people who are living there. So if you put your security in the hand of one man, at night, it's not feasible. The security he has provided is not feasible to you. You just know that you wake up 4 a.m., you go out, 25 million people on this small patch of land. So what has it done? What magic has it done? It's a thing that must inspire us that the guy must be around for a long time. And if you live in a state where there's no security, because security sits on everything. It's when you have security that you start talking about economy, start talking about health sector, and several that. So for me, the number one key and central point achievement of Sanwo-Olu is that he has been able to secure our life. You remember that the influence of people from war-torn areas, because there are low-scale wars going on in the country, in the south-south, it's on in the southeast. In fact, it's sourced by the grace of God that's not delved into a real civil war. In the north central and the northwest. So people come to Lagos every day. People who come in and people who live out are higher than people who are living in Lagos on a daily basis. So to contain it is enormous. It's a very, very, very big challenge. In fact, when I see friends, to answer the question, that friends coming from London, from New York, coming to Lagos, it took them time to go back to their various states. Because they say there's a little difference between what we have here and what we have where we are coming from. The final stage of a mega city is the metro line, and it's coming on board. So this is the skeleton that other things now put flesh on. We can then begin to talk about specifics, school. Just get it right. Once you get it, you start falling in place, and that's what he has done. He got it right. He made sure that the pattern that he took from Ambody, he did not waste the time of the people of Lagos State.
All right. Bosun, let me come to you. The point there is, when you, like he said, if you come to Lagos and you go back to any other state, you see the very sharp difference between what is in Lagos and what makes Lagos what it is, and then maybe what is obtainable in other states. However, if you flip the coin, you travel to Johannesburg, or you travel to Cairo, or you travel to Buenos Aires, or to London, and you come back, you also see a sharp difference in that regard. But basically, what needs to change? We know that Lagos is growing, as in is really growing. But what needs to really change drastically, feasibly, for Lagosians to enjoy?
Well, I think we should be careful in our comparisons.
Okay.
In as much as you want to compare yourself with people that are actually doing well, you also have to look at where you're coming from. And then
Nigerians are mobile. Nigerians are global citizens, so they're very quick to the moment you take a flight from London and you come back, you go, oh, we're back again. So they're very quick to make that.
Yeah, you have to look at the resources available to these places and what is available to the present administration in Lagos. And like Mr. Olokoba said, he's been able to get the basics right, and he's not just staying. Like I said, also. Excuse me, we have to flesh it up. If you look at those places you mentioned, they have their own peculiarities and challenges as well. But I tell people that if you look at Lagos, in as much as we're not where we want to be, we're not where we used to be. And then you find that work is always ongoing. There's one construction here, there's one attempt to make something good at this level and all that. And for me, he's talked about security and other areas. And, talking about fleshing it up, there are other areas where I say, this man is working assiduously. I don't know where he's got the energy from. And if you look at his frame...
He's still a young man.
He's still a young man. Okay, well, if you look at his frame, he doesn't look like that tough person, but someone's doing a fantastic job. And I'll tell you what, one area that interests me the most is education. And Mr. Razaq has talked about other areas, so let me look at education. Recently, way back, the way education was in Lagos, generally even in Nigeria, Lagos is a micro, whatever you see in Lagos, you can just...
It's a Nigerian
situation. And you find that before now, students were just being trained on academic excellence. They're not being trained for the reality of the workspace. But now the curriculum has changed. I mean, someone takes the credit, or someone who takes the credit, but he has some able assistants that are doing fantastically well. The essay on education,
okay,
I don't know how they've done it.
You were talking about education.
Yes, like I said, students were not being trained for the workspace, but now there's a whole change in the curriculum. Now you have e-learning introduced at the primary level. And this is not some PR kind of thing. It's across board. Then public schools, I mean, some of us didn't know how to operate the computer until we actually got employed. And that's what's happening. Then I finished from LASU. I saw the development, in LASU. Now LASU has hostels massive hostels, baby. LASU is now attracting grants, you know, like that. Then also the school fees. But there's a fantastic part that I need to put forward for this education thing, and I find it very, very interesting. You know, way back, I think the federal government wanted to upgrade certain polytechnics, and we saw Yaba Tech, you know, for whatever reason, the thing had not been done. They couldn't get it right. But within, let me use the word, permit this expression, seconds, Lagos State decided that the College of Education will now be a University of Education. Same for the Polytechnic, LASPOTECH. And within a twinkling of an eye, they've been able to get it right. VCs appointed, the same thing that the federal government couldn't do for years. And then everything is just moving very well. Now, that is on one side. Recently, I think a few days ago, the governor just came and decided that we will slash the school fees because people were beginning to say, yes, education is not affordable again in Lagos and all that. I remember going to school, I used to pay 150 for, you know, school fees in LASU. That was in the 90s. But, you know, now it's gone up to almost 200. But the governor looked at it that the best way to go about this thing, make education, because if there's no education, whatever you're doing, the generation that is untrained will definitely come and mess it up.
Yeah.
So he slashed it by 65%. The jubilation across board was massive. And I'm like, new things are coming in. You know, lecturers are now smiling. Gone are the days of frustrated lecturers who will mark you down. But things are changing, curriculum is changing, and students are being trained to fit into the workspace. Now then, I feel the governor has got it right, like Mr. Razaq said, and I think he has also a fantastic team. And they're doing everything to make sure he succeeds. What I tell people is, see, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. If you look at Lagos, if you were in Lagos 3 months ago, if you come back, you see something new. You see something new. That shows that this is an upward mobile government, upward mobile administration, and they're doing everything. They're not just concentrating. You know, you go to some states, all they're doing is road, road, road. No, there's road going on, other infrastructures going on, education, health, and everything. So I think if anybody deserves, the election should be a walkover for him, you know. And it's so bad that even the opposition, they don't have much to say. When they come out and criticize, you find out that there's no substance in what they're saying. You know, they just say, okay, he didn't tie his shoelaces well. Come on, like, is this why we're here? You know, governance is a serious business. And I think if anybody is doing fantastically well in almost every sector, I think Sanwo-Olu deserves a second term, and is fantastic at his job.
All right. So for what we're seeing on the screen right now has to do with relation to transportation. So let's come there, because if you come to Lagos, one of the first things that is visible to you to see and then know, oh, it's Lagos, is the transportation. And it's huge, it's massive. Like you said, people are pouring into Lagos on a daily basis. Those who have things to do, those who don't have things to do, but those who are escaping different things, those who are, so Lagos is like it collects all. Everybody come, who puts the pressure on it. But talk to us basically about the transportation going on. We see road constructions, we see massive. The Lagos State government, I believe, has declared, even maybe not officially, but a state of emergency in transportation, maybe. But let us talk to us in that regard.
In origin, it's one of the critical sector of economy that contributes highest to the world economy. And your production time is very central. Where you begin to manage your production time is how you manage the movement of your people. The goods, how they move. I must talk to you physically if you must agree to do business together. So it's not only about food. When you waste 3 hours going to work, 3 hours coming back, that's a waste of production time. Such country cannot prosper. So if you slow down your movement, you are slowing down your economy. If you're able to move all the time, it means your economy will be moving. People will transact business, things will move, production will be fine. And if you look at Lagos, all the space of land that is meant for road construction has been consumed. It is the only state that has realized that long ago, that before we got to a point where all the roads, because in planning of your city, This is for vegetation, this is for farming, this is for school,
industry, recreation.
This is the number of road that we must build in a city. Don't go beyond that. Because you must not convert land that is meant for house or agriculture or some in building roads. So what you do, and that's the universal standard, what you do is to seek for alternative means of transportation. Go under or go up or use the middle of the road as a non-stopping transportation, like BRT. The train
or use the water.
Or use the water. Long ago, Lagos has, that's why I said that benevolence has smiled on Lagos long ago from that on the time. Such that they plan from the future. And that's why we are always careful. When we get angry with our governors, when election is coming, we put that anger aside. Don't put us in trouble. This man should come back. We are just angry with you. You must come back. So we always realize that just like what we said, we shine our eyes on all those anger and citations. When election comes, people will tell you, no, this guy must continue. Because we compared life in Lagos to what we live outside Lagos. Some states are not even up to 5 million. If you go there, the transport system is zero. So in Lagos, the first thing Sanwo-Olu did when he came is to make sure that last mile officials live a very good life. That's what he did. The guy that was killed in Apapa, but he visited them to boost their morale because wars are won by morale, not by equipment. So to boost their morale, oh, this is a gun that have our time. So, and it does a lot of other things, increase their salary, and then the civil servant, within a week or two that he came on board, he made provision for bosses, star bosses. So, and he kept visiting each sector with what they needed, kept talking to each sector. And today, when MC Olokoba became the chairman of Lagos, personally I felt that Lagos is in trouble. I don't know whether they sat him down to give him a seminar. I don't know whether they sent him to a school to do something. He's doing well too. Maybe he recognized the body language of the government and the governor that I must put my house together. Look at all this blackmail about it, say, thug is this. And I just the way some Danfo drivers behave compared to their characters before. They are learning some lessons. So what's responsible for that? I don't know. But there's room for changes in them. You consider that changes. So in summary, the template they put on ground at the moment, they should not depart from it. They should keep going. Gradually, vehicles that are not meant for our road will disappear on their own. And we are going to get to that point. Money is gone. Recreative vehicles on the Lagos road today, if you count it on your fingers every day, I won't say up to 10, but before it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Okada is gone. Some other more vehicles will go. Lagos, in the turn of this next century, before the next turn, will be 100 million. People who have bungalows should prepare their mind. We are going to high rising. They will take your house from you. Mike, prepare your mind. You live in a mega city. You must have a mega mentality.
Mega mentality, mega mindset, eh?
Mega mentality. They are coming to, they are coming to take my house. With a provision for a high rising bill, they will give you some flat today. You must accept. That's how it was. So that's where we are coming to. We are not, but I want the people to prepare their mind when certain policies are made. If you go to anywhere in the world, the parking space, which is part of transportation too, the parking space, there's no space in Lagos. You have to agree with the government. How do we manage our space? Government, they are not magicians. We must both agree. So when they come up with a policy, they have thoughts about it. They have tinkered with the idea. You live in a place where we have 500 families. Each family have 33 cars. The government will manage it for you. You can't agree. And one of the best is what they have come on board, that get a place where you are going to park. So all policies, the people must understand that it's a necessity of a mega city.
Okay, you know, the rail lines are coming on, and I was driving along Marina area, and I saw they were still testing the rail, and for the first time. The other one I saw was the video, but the first time they tested was the video, but this time I saw myself, and I'm like, wow. So this thing is for real now as it is. So speak to us basically, what would be the huge benefits of this rail lines coming up on board for Lagosians?
All right, if you look at it, I think it's what the governor called his own legacy project. And if you take your mind back to the early 80s when they talked about the metro line, how Jakonde was trying to put that in place, and how the thing got scuttled and everything. Anyway, we're taking us, the governor is not taking us back. Mr. Governor is not taking us back. He's taking us into the future with what has been the plan. And I think, like Mr. Olokoba said, there's been a plan in place. And what this governor has done is to just make sure that everything follows the way it is. With an emerging city like Lagos, you find influx of people. You know, you describe it, people who know what they're doing, people who are being pursued, people who are pursuing things. Everybody is coming into Lagos. And you know, when there's a deluge, you know, like that, what you have to do is to plan for movement. Now, and then there's a level to which cars can actually take you, or how far. That's why if you find, in fact, there is no urban city in the world without a functional rail system. The reason is that you have more people on a rail than you have in cars. A car can even, I think the biggest car vehicle is the BRT bus. I mean, it can only take a few. And I mean, we've all been to different countries and different cities, and we've seen how the rail project works. And if you look at it, the one that excites me the most is the one connecting Badagry and, you know, to the island. If you look at that axis of Lagos, the population is massive and it's exploding every day. And, you know, imagine if you're coming from Badagry to the island and you get there in 30 minutes. There is no fixation again. In fact, it will affect housing because there's no fixation on, I want to live in Surulere, I want to live in the center.
Yeah.
I love seeing the sea. I can decide to move to Badagry. Once I know that I'll be at my workplace or I'll get to court on the island in 30 minutes, then I can decide to live anywhere. That's the benefit. That's the number one benefit. Apart from, you know, transporting a lot of people, the rail line is always designed in such a way that it cuts through the city.
Through the city.
Yeah, so if I know that in 30 minutes, a lot of people, my typical example is this New York and New Jersey. You know, there's a ferry from a particular point in New Jersey that takes you, it's just 7 minutes, drops you on the other side. But if you want to go around, you know, like that. So what the governor has done is he's really working on this project and making sure that he delivers. I think they said this should be ready by January or February, you know, like that. And so imagine the number of people that can transport. So that comes to his own point now that there are some things that will just give way with certain developments.
Water will find its level.
Water will find its level. So there are some cars that will naturally no longer be. If I have a fast-moving train, why do I want to get on a motorway? What do I want to do? I want to watch people selling drugs in the, you know, like that. So that's the import of the legacy project. So that's why this man deserves. I can actually, if not for Constitution, and I'm a lawyer, I have to oppose it.
No, of course.
I should be campaigning for a third term. Because, I mean, this is fantastic. He's doing fantastically well. And this is what we want to see. And for all you care, other states too are beginning to look in that direction. I think in a few years, because for me, the idea of megacity is good, but I prefer something like a megalopolis where there's a connect between Ogun and, you know, Oyo, and so even people
that'll talk about the Dawn the Dawn agenda.
Yes.
You know.
So that's where the whole concept of the blue line, the red line thing, it's actually to make sure that people are moved. A lot of people are moved from one point to the other within the shortest possible time. And like I said, you will see a whole lot of change with housing and, you know, relocation. People will just, now you can decide to live wherever you want, because the major issue has always been, you know, people move from one place to the other and then housing also increases. But if people now realize that I can be here and be here in another second, then I can decide to live anywhere I want. So Lagosians are in for the best of times.
It's amazing. Well, you don't have to arrange think of a third term. Like you mentioned earlier, you said that the team. You when you started, you said there's a team.
Fantastic.
And the team. So there'll be somebody that can continue eventually, subsequently. But we're still talking about the issue of roads. Now, if you're going to the VGC area, that access, you see huge construction. There's a flyover that's been
Yes.
done.
Yeah,
And
wow.
a lot of people say that when that road is ready, that it's going to take off a lot of pressure on the expressway,
corridor.
Lekki, that corridor. Now, talk to us from the perspective of opening up new roads. There's also the talk of the Fourth Mainland Bridge as well. Talk to us from there.
Well, you see, that's the business I do. I'm into construction. And I know for sure that when it comes to infrastructure, you don't have to delay it. When your child must go to school, say you don't have money, you wait. His mate will be going to school, and by certain time, it may not be befitting for that because you don't give him at the right time. That's what infrastructure. By any means necessary, every state or every nation must be committed to road construction. And like I said, that the team in place today, they are special people. They have special advisor, Madam Aramide, is doing very well. And before the year will run out, if you try to convert the numbers of kilometers of road that has been constructed from the time they came in, almost 4 years now, to now, you wonder why is this real? I did the conversion and it was huge. So, in my own estimation, I thought that how Lagos has gotten it right. I am happy that someone who has been the governor of Lagos State before, who took time to lay the template that we are using today, is also going to Nigeria. Because if you look at the model that has been established in Lagos in road construction, half of us should leave Lagos for 2 years and come back after completing the work. But they are able to manage it. That's an area where I said that it's a team. They're able to manage it that in such a way that the development in the world about green infrastructure is factored into road construction. That everything cannot be concrete. There should be green, there should be flower, it's factored. Then how movement of people are being managed, which comes to the transport model that has been established. Year in, year out, they assume that there will be road construction. So every region in Lagos, every district in Lagos, they put special team in place that once construction gets to a particular height in Lagos, they deploy them. And that's why you see that between a short distance to each other, you see road construction, traffic is moving. So now, the corridor you spoke about, if that is not done, it will not be fair from the toll gate here, the first toll gate, take you to Aja, take you to Ibejuleki, the properties there is in trillions of naira. So it will not be fair to go through what they are going through every day without doing something to their situation. So with that construction now, what is put in place today, it's going to be a very big relief. More so, Third Mainland Bridge is like to take off from Langbasa, that axis, and take you to Fourth Mainland Bridge, and take you straight to Korodu. By the time all these things work in place, that's why continuity matters a lot. Because that old axis, when you have Fourth Mainland Bridge, people will come from Ikorodu, they will descend in that place. Though there must be expansion. You cannot rely on the old road. Two factors now. Properties there, you must give them relief. The second thing is bringing people directly from Ikorodu and you dump them there. How do they survive? So you must improvise, keep building more roads, and that's what was responsible for when Fashola was there. There were massive expansion. It was part of the blueprint that was given to him before Tinubu left. So, and that is the blueprint Sanwo-Olu is also working on. So, it's a continuation of getting Lagos to that point where all of us want it. So, it's part of the blueprint. There will be more roads that will be built in that axis because the people who live there are increasing in number at an alarming rate. So, that bridge is part of it. More other things will be part of it. And two things is central to it. The population of people who are living there, and emphasizing that once you complete the Fourth Mainland Bridge, they are going to bypass so many places. And people who go to other cities will not be using another. People can even go from Ikeja here, to go to Ikorodu, to link the axis. So that's why we said planning from the future has always been the hallmark of Lagos.
It's all right. I saw a model of the Fourth Mainland Bridge. I wanted. It's fantastic. In fact, what we see,
it's risky to think with the idea. Our conclusion now, just like I said, our conclusion now should be that it's a foregone conclusion. We must not think with the idea of, is there any election, or it should be, it's just be a formality. in the best interest of all Lagosians.
It's all right.
In the best interest of all Lagosians.
Yes, the Ikoyi Link Bridge that is so beautiful, that is used on music videos and used on all movies. By the time they see the Fourth Mainland Bridge when it's being done, I believe this one will be
you know, Disney World.
Yeah, exactly. Now we have just about 2 minutes to wrap up, but talk to us from the perspective of housing. Now he mentioned earlier that prepare yourself, Lagos. After we have spread that way, it will start going upwards. Yes, but talk to us in what Lagos will look like in that regard.
All right. Regarding housing, there's been one of the things that the government has done is also to encourage private participation. You know, this is the only city where you find that, I mean, you're building and there's no much. You know, way back people used to have all this Omonile challenge and everything, but the government has come up with so much policy. I think there was some seminar last week by the special advisor on housing as well, and all those things. Every day, the governor and his team, they're thinking about how to improve the life and living conditions of Lagosians. Now, if you look at the kind of houses that used to be way back in the days of Jakonde, you find out that it's different from, you know, previous administrations that came. And now this government has started to put in place buildings that are tech inclined, and also buildings that are commensurate with modern living. Now, so that's one thing. And then it's not done in a particular area. They're, you know, doing it across board. That's the fantastic thing about this present administration. And one of the things, like he said, is that they're looking in a different direction. There's no space and there's no additional space, you know, to Lagos. So we have to make do with what we have. And that's what they're doing. With housing, every single month, you find out that they're opening, you know, new housing schemes and all that. And the fantastic thing about it is that it's accessible to all citizens. It's not something that a cabal is in charge and you can access. Everything about this administration is open. You can work in without knowing anybody and you get what you want. Once you have all the prerequisites and necessary things in place. So with housing, it's just a matter of time. Everybody in Lagos will become a homeowner.
A homeowner. Interesting. Well, we see the Eco-Atlantic project going on, and a lot of people are saying that it's an improved Dubai, you know, by the time that place is put together. So it's, you know, it's going to transform the entire city. Well, we have to leave it here now. As time goes on, we'll still be talking about Lagos. It becomes a model for so many other states to,
that's correct,
you know, to look out at, or look up to.
That's correct.
And some states have sent in their agencies to come and learn from Lagos, you know, do internship.
We have to charge
do internship in Lagos.
They have to pay
in the
for
spirit
that.
of camaraderie. You know?
Mike, you have to, all of us will be part of it.
No, we're part
I
of
have
it.
floated my moments.
Okay.
I'm the coordinator of Sanwo-Olu for Governor.
Oh, I see.
What's your own organization?
No, I'm journalist for now. So the point, we just keep doing our journalism work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Olutunbosun Osifowora, thank you very much for coming
Always
on the
a pleasure.
program. And Razaq Olokoba, thank you
It's a
very
pleasure.
much as well. Thank you. Great.